I'm back, y'all, and we have a baby. Hendrix Oliver was born on July 23rd at 1 in the morning, and it's been a lot. I'm just sitting here like, what is happening? The fourth trimester has been very different for us this time around, so I want to just update y'all on what's going on with me, what's going on with baby, and how we have survived being in a house of 5 people. I just want y'all to know, like, the fact that I'm even here and doing this video right now is impressive. I thought about getting dressed up for y'all. I thought about putting my makeup on, but that would not be real life because this is what I look like every single day and probably will look like every single day for the next couple of months. So let's just be real. Let's just have a conversation about postpartum and all the things you can expect in this wonderful 3 months after having baby. Welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to start sharing more postpartum content with you guys because this is something that I haven't been able to truly film that much of. And so I've gotten a lot of questions on Instagram. So I want to make sure to share all of these things and educate you on the postpartum journey. If you have not hit subscribe, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you know when all my videos come out, not only to educate you on pregnancy, but also educate you on postpartum. Going on social media sometimes can be a little bit intimidating and almost overwhelming to see so many beautiful pictures of mama and baby and how mama might have snapped back and she looks exactly how she did pre-pregnancy and how everything is just perfect. And this is not the video for you if that is what you're expecting out of this conversation. That this is not perfect, and I'm never going to pretend like postpartum and the fourth trimester is easy. It can be managed very well and you can know how to navigate it better with each child, but with each child becomes more responsibility and more noise and more things that need to be done. I want to be able to share that with you guys as well. I prepare all of my postpartum mamas to navigate this experience, but we're all going to go through our own different journeys. And so as I get to talk with so many of the postpartum mamas who I've been able to support, they are also being able to share their challenges and we can have those conversations in a very authentic way. And that allows for us to really figure out how we're going to make this journey of parenting work for our families, because it is not going to look the same for each person and it's definitely not going to look the same from child to child. So I think it's probably important just to start from the beginning. If you guys haven't checked out my birth video, make sure to check out the birth video because Hendrix came into the world in a very quick and unexpected way. And so if you go back and watch that, you'll see just like how exciting our birth story was. But we definitely walked into this fourth trimester on cloud 9. It was such a beautiful birth experience. I could have never dreamt up how our story ended. And I'm super, super grateful for the amount of preparation that my husband and I did to prepare for our birth because it was such an intimate experience between us, but then also with our birth team. And we planned to have our children a part of our birthing experience, but because it was in the middle of the night, we did not want to wake them up. And so the next morning, we were able to introduce Hendrix to Fitz and Harper, and it was such a beautiful experience to watch.
You see him? He's not in Mommy's belly anymore. He's here.
I'm gonna touch it.
Okay, just real gentle, okay? Okay.
Touch his back, he's sleeping. I'm gonna hold it.
We did have family in town at the time, so that also worked itself out and they were able to meet him as well. But as we transitioned into really being a family of 5, one of the biggest transitions that we had to deal with was how to adjust to the needs of 3 children. That has probably been the most challenging part so far of the fourth trimester with 3 kids because we still have young kids. Our kids are 4, 2, and now we have a newborn. And there are needs and big feelings from all 3 of these children. And so us trying to navigate that has definitely been a little bit of a challenge because now that they see us holding Hendrix all the time, we do a lot of baby wearing, we do a lot of holding around here. We are not the family that feels like you have to put your baby down or you need to let him cry it out. That is not how we roll around here. And it's totally fine if that's what you do. That's just not what we do here. So being that our kids are seeing us holding this baby all the time, they also want to be held. And so we're trying to also meet their emotional needs right now, but it has also forced us to really try to spend as much quality time with each of them individually, which I have not necessarily mastered yet because Hendrix is always on me, whether we're baby wearing or nursing. I have started to be able to put him down for a nap. He's actually sleeping right next to me right now. Hopefully he doesn't wake up. But Harper and Fitz are the best helpers. And so I'm super grateful for that and how they've been able to step in and really kind of own their roles, even though they may have a little bit more emotional needs right now that we're also trying to meet in the process of transitioning into being a family of 5. So I did breastfeed all 3 of my children. With Fitz, I breastfed for 1 year exactly. With Harper, we nursed for about 20, how long did we nurse? I honestly did not know if we were going to be able to end our nursing journey before Hendrix was born because she was so attached to the breast, but I wanted her to be able to self-wean, which was definitely challenging while being pregnant, but I just kind of surrendered and gave in, and I said, if we end up tandem nursing, then that's what we're going to do. But thankfully, she did end up nursing right up to about May, and he was born in July, so that made her about 26 or 20 March, April, May. Yeah, about 26 months of nursing Harper. And then we did wean one night and it just kind of stuck. And I was very grateful because I wanted to have a little bit of time of not nursing before Hendrix came. But now that Hendrix is here, we are nursing exclusively. I do not have to go to an office setting, so I'm not pumping until I'm going to be going back to births because I don't really enjoy pumping. But thankfully, he has latched really well from the beginning. Breastfeeding has been going well. He does actually have a little bit of a tongue tie, so we are looking into that further, but we've been doing a lot of stretching, chiropractic care. We go to the chiropractor every week, and honestly, that has been really great for our family. Chiropractic care is great because babies' bodies can kind of go through a little bit of a traumatic experience being birthed out of the body. And so being in chiropractic care helps not only adjust their body to kind of help them grow and develop, but then it also can help with breastfeeding challenges and tongue ties. So we've been doing that weekly, and we started him at 4 days old.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sweet little man. Had such a good birth. There we go. Yeah.
Harper, let it go. Let it go.
He's a big one. He's got those hiccups. Has he been getting them a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Harper, are we adjusting your baby brother?
All of us go on a weekly basis, so that's been really helpful. We are going to be looking into further support when it comes to his tongue tie and just figuring out what we need to do to make sure that that doesn't become a long-term issue when it comes to eating or speech delays. We have gone and gotten body work done, which is something that has been really helpful in kind of really just loosening up his body because he is a little bit more tight and tense, and so we're doing a lot of massaging at home. But breastfeeding overall has been really, really great with him. He nurses very often. He also sleeps really well because he tends to eat a lot. He was born 8 pounds 11 ounces, and he's about 11 and a half pounds now. So weight-wise, he's been gaining weight really, really well. Thankfully, this time around, we've just kind of listened to him and followed him. Whereas in the past, I didn't always do that, and I tried to really control like the eating schedule. And because we have 3 kids, I just don't have time for that. I don't have time to track everything in the app. I wish I did, but we're just not at that place. And I've accepted that. When the pediatrician or anybody asks, like, how many times does he nurse a day? I'm gonna give them an estimate because I don't count anything. I don't have the brain capacity to do any of that. So that being said, he's gaining weight really well, so I'm grateful for that. We have introduced a bottle, but he's not a fan.
Every I go to baby, I would get booby milk.
You always drink right from the booby.
Yeah.
What? Can I get a little milk out on your tongue so you know it's milk? Here, look. You taste it. It's milk. It's milky. Just believe me.
You know, it's a hit or miss right now, but my husband is trying, our babysitter is gonna start trying, and that hopefully will stick. We've tried a few bottles. We're gonna probably try a few different ones to see if he likes a different nipple better. So I don't know, y'all, we'll see what this journey brings along. Harper never took a bottle. So we exclusively breastfed for 26 months until she was like able to start drinking out of an open cup, which was around 6 months. But I don't want to go down that path again because I would like to have a little bit more freedom this time around, but I don't want to pump. So I'm trying to find that balance because I'm not trying to pump. I have actually been able to build a supply from just using the Haka. The Haka is my favorite thing to use. This is not a sponsored video on Haka, but it is literally my favorite thing to use in the postpartum because I tend to have a lot of letdown and leaks, and so I tend to be able to fill up a stash and fill up our freezer just by catching the letdown in the Haka. So hopefully he'll start to take a bottle so we can use it before we can't use it anymore, and you know, be able to actually get away without him maybe in the next couple of months or so. So that's pretty much where we're at with breastfeeding. Keeping my fingers crossed and praying that this stays the same, but he actually has been a pretty good sleeper so far. We do co-sleep here in this household because that is the way that all of us get the most sleep at night, and so we will start him off in his bassinet, and then once he wakes up in the middle of the night, I'll usually just bring him in the bed, nurse him, and then he'll sleep with me in the night. But throughout the day, he does nap pretty well. He's gotten some pretty long stretches both during the day and in the evenings. And so this time around, I have really just allowed him to tell me when he's tired, pick up on his sleep cues, and just follow his body. Again, in the past, I've had a lot of different trauma related to making sure my babies were being fed enough and really focusing on their weight gain and all those kinds of things. And it just was not good for my peace of mind or for my anxiety. And so this time around, I am just following the baby because that is all I have control over. That is all I have capacity to do. I have so many other things that I'm trying to manage. And as long as my baby is getting the sleep that his body needs and me doing the things to make him comfortable to sleep, then that's what we're gonna do. And that's where we're at right now. And he has been sleeping very well. We do obviously use safe co-sleeping practices, so there's not a ton of like blankets and pillows and loose things in the bed, so that we are making sure that he's safe. But we do co-sleep during the evenings. When he is napping during the day, he's either in his bassinet. Right now he's sleeping in my son's bed because we're in my son's room, or he'll be in a wrap because he likes to be held a lot. Now, as far as my own recovery goes, physical recovery has been going really well. I did not tear. So grateful that I did not tear, so I didn't have to worry about that this time around. I did have a second-degree tear in my last birth experience, but it really wasn't that bad. But I did not tear this time around, which was so amazing because I was pushing for about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes or something like that, and he was our largest baby, weighing 8 pounds 11 ounces, and the fact that I did not tear was so surprising. But it, as fast as the pushing stage did go for me, I was able to really kind of like move and breathe him out. And so I think that had a lot to do with it, and a lot of the prep that I did in the pregnancy. I was on bed rest for the first 2 weeks. I always tell all my mamas to literally stay off of your feet for the first 2 weeks and let everybody serve you. And so that's what I did. I was in my bed for the first 2 weeks and really got to see how my bleeding actually pretty much let up by 2 weeks. But then I started to get a little bit more active at that point because my kids were home from school and they were home for about a week and a half. And while we did have a little bit of help around, I still was on my feet a lot more, moving around, doing activities with my kids, not overdoing it, but overdoing it for where my body was at in that postpartum phase. And so I did see my bleeding increase a little bit. So that was a cue for me to like take a chill pill, sit down for a little bit. Did I just say chill pill? Take a chill pill. I haven't said that since I was like, I don't even know, high school? I don't even know if I said in high school. That's weird. Okay, well, I had to chill and I needed to sit down. And so I really tried to listen to my body as best that I could. But honestly, y'all, with 3 kids, it's just so much harder to just sit down when they're around, especially if you don't have help around, because I have very active toddlers and trying to sit down and like let them do their thing is dangerous in this household. Things can get broken, people can get hurt, and it's just not safe at all for anybody. So me just sitting down and being on bed rest while it was just me with them was just not realistic for me. So that being said, that did slow my physical recovery up just a little bit because I did start bleeding a little bit again, and did my best to try to relax while they were home. But most of the time that just wasn't very possible. One of the things that was so different for me this time around was the postpartum cramping. I don't know what was going on this time around, but my postpartum cramps were not fun at all. I mean, they were so uncomfortable, like period cramps. And honestly, I felt like they were worse than my contractions. And so for the first 24 to 48 hours, like my cramps, because your uterus will, begin to go back to its pre-pregnancy size, that does cause the cramping or the contracting to happen while you're breastfeeding and just in that immediate postpartum as you have a lot of oxytocin flowing. Well, obviously I had a lot of oxytocin flowing. I was on cloud 9 and I was breastfeeding, and they say that with the third, fourth, like every subsequent pregnancy, the cramping gets a little bit worse. And I do not remember having cramping like this in my first or second experience. My first a little bit because I did have a C-section, but not in my second. And so this definitely caught me a little bit by surprise as to how much I actually felt it. So I did live off of cramp bark, which I'll link in the description, and some ibuprofen so that I could manage and not be so uncomfortable for those first 2 days. And that really was the most discomfort that I was in, honestly, from the time labor began until after we had a baby. That was the most discomfort that I felt. It was not even labor, but that was definitely something that I was not expecting in the immediate postpartum that we had to work through. But it was all very normal and safe, and there was nothing else that was like accompanying that, but it was definitely a surprise. So mentally, this is the thing that most of us don't prepare for, don't talk about, and struggle with the most when it comes to being in the fourth trimester. And for me, this fourth trimester has been kind of up and down from the mental perspective. I did encapsulate my placenta specifically because, one, it's really helpful for baby to really just get the extra iron and things that were in the placenta and all the nutrients that he was living off of for 9 months. But one of the main reasons that I did encapsulate my placenta for the second time was because of how it can help with the hormonal imbalances that we go through after we have a baby. And I know for myself, somebody who has dealt with anxiety in the past, I know that I need something to support me that's natural so that I can breastfeed, but also so that I don't start to feel so overwhelmed or overstimulated as there's so much going on, especially now with 3 kids. So that has been really helpful. I really haven't felt that big dip in terms of the emotional breakdowns and things like that that can happen. I did experience the baby blues around day 5, but then I was able to kind of get out of that and just understand and realize what was happening and manage that very well. But this has been fairly challenging. I do get overstimulated very easily, and being able to recognize those things, prepare ahead of time, and know how to manage them in the moment is very important, especially because I have a loud house. There's babies crying, there's children asking for things, there's people screaming and running around the house, and that could be really overwhelming. And so mentally, understanding what I was walking into and understanding my reality was very helpful to be able to manage what things could look like, how I was going to manage those emotionally. I do recommend therapy, postpartum support groups. I have other mama friends who I've been able to talk to. I'm able to talk with my husband, which is really helpful, and I have a therapist. And so this village that I've kind of created for myself in the fourth trimester has been really helpful when it comes to just the mental healing and the mental recovery that has to take place. So mentally, things have been up and down, but I feel like I'm managing them a lot better. I will also say that the one thing that we don't talk a lot about is how babies and the more children that you have can impact relationships. That can be friendships, that can be marriage, that can be, how much you communicate with other people. And I definitely have struggled with the communication piece and just being able to keep in touch and respond fast and be the things that I was before I had a baby to the people in my life, to my kids, to my husband, to my friends. Like I found myself not being as mentally present because there's so many things going on and my mind is constantly going 50 miles an hour trying to juggle kids and a home and schools and a business, all of these things that have been very overwhelming, honestly. But all that being said, I feel like I've put enough support systems in place to help me manage through these difficult times. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that, but it's not been something where it's put me into like postpartum depression by any means. I did experience postpartum depression after my first and even a little bit after my second because we were also in the middle of a pandemic. So this time around, I feel like the challenges are not as great as they were before. They're just different. And there's a lot of responsibility, but I feel more equipped this time around. And so I've really tried to focus a lot on my mental and spiritual health, not only in my pregnancy to prepare for this moment, but also as I'm in the moment, because you never know what the next day is going to bring for you. So that is something that we really, really focus a lot on here, is just being able to communicate better, being able to share the emotions and the things that we're going through so that we can all be supportive of one another as a team. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We are 1 month in. The kids are doing so much better. They are at school now, so that is why the house is quiet, which is really helpful for me because it really kind of energizes me for when the house gets loud in the mornings and in the evenings, so that I do have enough energy to be there for each one of the people in this home. So that is where we're at 1 month in. I think I'm going to do these videos probably once a month and just give you guys monthly updates. So if there's anything that you want to know that I didn't share, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn how to actually prepare for postpartum, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button and even go down below into my description and let's talk so I can help prepare you in my Work Your Birth program for pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, so that when you get to this place, whether it's your first, second, third, fourth, fifth baby, that you feel equipped to handle and manage some of these things that can be thrown at you in the postpartum while you're trying to take care of a new human. Thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.